and say that I've forgiven my father for what he did, and I forgive him, and I forgave him for a number of things. I forgive him for the pain that he caused us, the tears that he made us shed, the times that we saw our mom struggle. I forgive him for abandoning our mother, for making her raise us alone, making her struggle, making her figure out how things will be done at home, what will be eaten, venye tutavaa, venye tutasoma. Hi guys, welcome and welcome back to my channel. Thank you very much for the support that you've given me. I really appreciate. Thank you for the 300 subscribers. At least we got to 300, and that gives me a lot of energy to continue doing this, to continue creating contents for you people, to continue inspiring you, and to continue doing what I feel I want to pass to people out there and all that. To all those people who contributed to me getting to that 300, I really appreciate, and thank you very much, and may God bless you. If you're new here, thank you very much for choosing this platform. This is a channel whereby we do inspiration, mental health, self-care, and along the way I will introduce you to my siblings and share with you what we do when we get a chance to be together. Yes, and so stay tuned, and I hope you enjoy today's episode. Yes, so today I'm here, or before I even say why I'm here today, I've shot a number of videos previously about my life and how I grew up from a home whereby I was raised by my mom alone with an absent father. What I mean is my father is there but was not present when we were growing up. So that is what I've been sharing in my previous videos, and I feel so happy that I'm receiving calls from people out there telling me, you remind me so much of what I went through growing up. I can relate your story to what I saw back at home and all that. Actually, this makes me so happy because I feel like I'm living a purpose, and all I need and all I want is to inspire someone out there, to give them hope and all that. So today I'm here to talk about forgiveness. Yes, I'm here to talk about forgiveness because I held so much and a lot growing up until a certain time when I decided to forgive. And for sure, one thing I would say, when you get to that point whereby you want to forgive, it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of grace, because as I said earlier, it's not easy. It's not easy to be taken through pain. It's not easy to be taken through frustrations. It's never easy at all. So ukiona mtu amefika to a point whereby they've sat down and they've decided to forgive, it has taken a lot for them to have gotten to that point. Yeah. And so today I want to talk about forgiveness and what I've been doing, what I decided to do to let go of my past. Yes, I've not gone through it completely, but as I've said earlier in my previous videos, I've grown. And I sitting before a camera and talking about my past, I've grown. And forgiveness is a decision to let go. And we make that decision to let go a number of things. It may be pain that we've been caused by our loved ones, or maybe pain for losing a loved one in terms of death, or maybe divorce. It may be you are letting go regrets that you have, probably because of something that happened some time back. You may be letting go frustrations that you've been caused by people around you. You may be letting go, what else? You may be letting go the shame that came along with what happened and all that. So in short, what I mean, forgiving is letting go that pain, that frustration, that regret, that pain that you've been carrying around with you. So yeah, and again, as I said earlier, it takes a lot to sit down and consider forgiveness and all that. And for those who've watched my previous videos, a lot happened back at home. Being raised by a single mom who along the way got ill, along the way a lot of things changed. Along the way my father came back. Being a firstborn, I learned a lot of things at home, and I saw a lot at home that brought about so much anger to me. And I had this just bitterness that I could not explain, because I wouldn't imagine what was happening to my mom. Yani sikuwa nataka kuamini I'm growing up to such a family. So each and every time when I sat down and I thought about what is happening at home, I had a lot of bitterness, a lot of regret, a lot of bad emotions that I kept carrying in my heart. So and these emotions, of course, they'll affect you. And sometimes I would sit down and break down and cry. I started isolating myself from my peers and the society because of the shame that I felt, because of the home that I came from. Yeah, that came about with everything that happened at home, until I got to a point whereby I joined college, and that is when I sought help. That is when I got someone to talk to. That is when I realized that so many people out there are going through so many challenges out there, na nikakuja kuona kumbe si kwetu peke yake. As much as things were not very bad at other people's homes, I was like, oh, so other people go through other stuff back at home, si kwetu peke yake. At least I got courage to be speaking out about what is happening back at home. At least I would share about what is happening back at home with my mom, and the illness that is at home, and my dad that I didn't know, and all that. And that is how I came along a counselor who took me through a number of sessions, and my healing journey began there. And one thing I would say, you cannot be brought into that session if you're not willing. You're there unwillingly, you may not talk. Today I may get dragged to that room, but I may choose not to talk. So, but I was so tired with what was happening around me. And now that I was exposed and I could hear people talk about their homes and all that, it became easier for me to open up and all that. So I sat down and I decided to work on me, for me. And that is when I made a decision to let go all the pains that I had, all the regrets that I had, all the frustrations that I've grown with, and all that. That was step number 1. I sat down and decided to let it go. And the reason as to why I decided that is because I mentioned previously that our parents do what they do as parents, and we as children, we play our part. So when I came to learn that my parents are my parents and I cannot change the fact that I was born in that home, I came to realize that I have my own life to build. I have my own career to think about. I have my own home to think about. That is when I made a decision to let go all the bitterness, all the pains, and all that. So that was step number 1. I made a decision to work on me. The second thing that I did after I decided to work on me was to decide why I wanted to forgive my father. And I've said he's my parent. I cannot change that. That is one. Secondly, I sat down and thought of it. What if he was here today? What if he was there to help my mom? Probably we wouldn't be here today, because maybe life haingekuwa tough. Hatungeona the other side of life. Hatungeona the struggles at home. We wouldn't be maybe here, because things would be smooth at home. So I believed that everything happened with a reason, and that is why he was never in our life, and that is why our mom took care of us alone, and that is why we are here today. So step number 1, I made a decision to work on myself. The second thing, I sat down and I thought, why do I need to let go all these pains? The other thing that I did, I made it intentional to work on forgiveness. By this, what I did is I freely opened up to my counselor. Let all the emotions to be there. If I was to break down or I felt like crying, I did that. It got to a point whereby I faced the reality and learned that I cannot avoid going home because my mom is there. That is one. I need to see her and I want to know how she's faring. So I chose to be going to that home. I chose to just work on forgiveness. And I did this by even forgiving myself for carrying all the bitterness and the pains that I had carried for a very long time. I decided to forgive myself for not choosing to be born at that home. Because honestly, we may blame ourselves and wish we were not born there, but that is not a solution, because we are already in that home. So I decided again to forgive myself and allow myself know that I never chose to be born there. I never chose them to be my parents. I love my mom so much. If I could be given a chance to choose, I would obviously 100% chosen my mom with a different life. But again, it was meant to happen that way. The other thing that I did is to let my mind know that I cannot change what happened. Like, I cannot change the past. If my dad wasn't there when we were growing up, I cannot change that fact. If my mom struggled, if my mom got sick, if my mom was in pains, I cannot change that fact. And I started pushing that towards my past and focusing on making things better, and I focused on making myself much better and building me. So basically, that is what I've been doing, and that has worked for me. We are very different, and different things work for different people, and we handle stressors differently. There are people who open up and talk. There are people who isolate when they are going through stressors. We have people who just get into substance abuse, and before you even know, they are dependent and they cannot live without these substances, just to block what is happening back at home and all that. But for me, what really helped is talking it out. Up to date, if I come across someone who've lost hope, I just use my story as an example and let them know there is hope. Let them know that tomorrow will be much better than today. So talking worked for me, and when I realized that I cannot change what happened in my life, things became, the burden became lighter for me. So yes, and today I'm here to give hope to someone out there who've completely lost hope with what is happening, be it back at home with your family, be it back at work with your colleagues, be it back to the society, because a lot happens to we people, and we carry around a lot of bitterness, a lot of regrets, a lot of frustrations, a lot of pains and all that. But one thing I would say, there is power in forgiveness, and when you forgive, you become even lighter. And as I mentioned earlier, today I can pick my phone and call my dad, and we can talk without feeling what I was feeling in the past. Today I may decide today is on a Sunday and I want to go visit him, and just pack and go. Today I can easily get back to my pocket, give what I can afford without that pain. Yes, I've not outgrown what happened. I've not healed completely from what happened, and I have some things that triggers me to what happened in my past. Like, for example, if I see a mom out there, I explained this earlier, that brings me back to what my mom went through. If, for example, I see street kids out there, I'm like, what if my mom gave up on us? What if she never stood with us and all that? So I still have triggers that brings back the memories of what I went through. But I'm still working on myself, and I've learned it may take time to decide to forgive. And forgiving, it doesn't mean you will forget. It doesn't mean you will forget just because you forgive. It may take time to process what happened, come into terms with it, and know that there's nothing much you can do about it, rather than focusing on making things better, growing yourself positively and all that. Again, a number of friends came through. Those who listened to me, thank you very much, because not everyone would understand what you're going through. Some people are like, no, it's your father and sijui nini nini, yani, and nilikuwa naangalia hivi nashindo, okay, you want me to just forget and sweep it under the carpet what happened. This thing happened for almost 20 years, but you just want me to sit down and assume that things are better back at home. You want me to assume that he's my dad, and I forget the pains that he made us go through and all that. And I was like, you don't even have a clue of what we went through. You don't even have a clue of the pains that we still had. So to people out there who keep telling people, no, he is your parent, just deal with it, just know that there's nothing you can do, just know that it is usually not easy, especially if you've come from a background whereby you found love from both parents. It's never easy. It doesn't make sense to me, ukiniambia, to just forgive, it takes energy, it takes a lot of sacrifice, including grace, because some things nasemanga, it takes grace. And today I know there are a number of families out there, there are a number of young generation out there wenye wanakanga chini and they feel like, I don't want to see my mother because they neglected me growing up. I don't want to see that man who neglected me, who never gave me that love. Out there, they even don't talk to them and all that. But one thing I would want to say today is that life is too short, and the higher power, who is God, had a chance to bring you to a family that is together, to a family that has love and all that. But he did not do that with a reason well known to him. So the minute you're sitting down and feel like you were born from the worst home and the worst things are happening at home, just sit down and remember, these are your parents. You cannot change the fact that you were born in that home and you have a life to build. That is what they chose. You have your own life to build. You're the one to decide whether to end up in a toxic relationship or not. You're the one to make a decision whether to be ignored or not, whether to be taken for granted or not, whether to raise your own kids alone or not. That is a decision that you have to make on your own because your parents made that decision. Okay? Yeah. So to the youths out there who are still bitter with their parents, I would challenge you to sit down and think about it and find a way to let go that pain that you've grown with, that pain that you're living with, to make things easy for you. And today I would proudly say I've forgiven my father. Kitambo, I never thought I would sit down with him and have a conversation. I never saw this coming. Atinaweza panga vilago vyangu, I go home and spend time with him. I never knew I would made it intentional to maybe call him and know how he's doing and all that. I never thought this would ever come to pass. And I thank God that I got this opportunity to sit down and let go the pains that I had. And I feel more lighter. And what I was saying is, today I would stand and say that I've forgiven my father for what he did. And I forgive him, and I forgave him for a number of things. I forgive him for the pain that he caused us, the tears that he made us shed, the times that we saw our mom struggle. I forgive him for abandoning our mother, for making her raise us alone, making her struggle, making her figure out how things will be done at home, what will be eaten, venye tutavaa, venye tutasoma. I forgive him for all that. I forgive him for not giving me love, the first love that every daughter gets from their father. I never got that. I never had that father-daughter relationship that girls normally get from their father. I never got that. So, mi siwezi sema nilipata that first love from a man. I never got that. And I forgave him for not giving us a chance to love him earlier, to be with him at that particular moment when we really needed him. He never gave us that chance. He never gave us a chance to love him, to be with him, to know how men are like. He never gave us that chance. Because maybe if I grew up with a father figure, I would have known not all men are bad, not all men are irresponsible, not all men neglect their homes and get selfish, and they are only out there focusing on their career, probably focusing on their life, focusing on other things rather than giving that priority to their homes. I would have learned that from him. So I forgive him for all that, and I hope you who is out there, I hope this video gets to you, and I hope you make it intentional to sit down, think about it, and forgive that parent who neglected you and brought about so many pains to you. Because life is too short. I don't know how much time I have with him, and yeah, and I wish I would get a chance to have a sitting with him and let him know how I felt as her daughter and all that. But today I would proudly and I would happily say that I forgave him, and I'm still working towards making myself better and touching lives out there. So thank you very much, guys, for watching. Thank you very much for consuming this content. I really appreciate. And for those of you who are calling me, telling me, I remind you of what you went through, you feel encouraged, you can relate to what I'm sharing. Thank you very much. Hakuna kitu inanifurahisha kama hiyo. To know that I'm touching a life out there. I'm enabling someone out there to change their minds about what they think of where they come from and where they grew from and all that. So thank you very much for watching. Kindly make sure you let a friend or a family reach to this channel and let them subscribe to that red icon written subscribe. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, bye bye and have a good night.